Coming from the Truspace, we ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace.
What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Herth. Welcome back to Truspace.
Yup, and let's break down this eclipse energy that is going on in Scorpio with this new moon. An eclipse is basically like a new moon or full moon on steroids, where everything is heightened. And we've been, teetering with alignments and aspects, playing with the nodes for a long time. So a lot of the energy has been accumulated up until this point, and it's not like it's still partial because it's happening in the early degrees. It's not exactly on with the nodes or with the south node. South node's like 15 degrees Scorpio or something like that. The new moon's more of in the earlier stages, so it's more of a partial. So it's not as intense as it could be. You know what I mean? It's like you took some cocaine and rubbed it on your gums. You didn't smoke the whole crack pipe. You didn't take it from the crack pipe, if you get what I mean. Whereas you smoked it from the crack pipe, you're in a whole different world. Whereas, rubbing the cocaine on your teeth you're kind of getting a feel of what it's going to be. But regardless, it's still going to be heavy, potent energy. Not to mention a new moon, where it's a new beginning in Scorpio. So in death, you can expect some shit to die for real. Wherever you're having this alignment, you can expect some shit to die, let go, or really be destroyed in your life. So how do you think this eclipse energy is going to hit the collective?
So, from a biology point of view, this is interesting because during this time, especially during a solar eclipse, this is where we're gonna spend a lot of our energy to transform and take power control of our take a power control comes to our fixated emotions and feelings, and these really things dealing with the behind the scenes, vulnerable, secretive, sexual, occult, mystic type of nature type of things. So that's what we're trying to emotionally transform. So in terms of biology, that's our reproductive organ. This is our ability to transform our mucus, our ability to transform nitrogen, our ability to transfer toxins and get rid of them. And Scorpio is a fixated house, so it deals with holding in. So if you don't understand the concept of releasing, which is very hard sometimes, since we could accumulate a lot of waste, emotion through passions. Remember, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so sometimes if you don't know how to direct our passion and desires, that would lead to a certain water accumulation, and that's where we're gonna have to become aware of what that is on a deep emotional level and spark the Mars type of energy to really transform ourselves from a deep emotional perspective to take power and control of ourselves from a deep internal level. This is where you could develop emotional strength and stability, and this is where you could learn how to control physical reality, since we experience all this opposition towards Uranus in Taurus. Really everything is shaking you around. All this uniqueness, originality, sudden movement that's causing you to open your mind, to open your senses, to move your body and open your subconscious mind. So this is getting you to understand that as your insides getting more aware, opened up, released, your physical body is improving too, in a sense, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. During this new moon, and as you go through this new moon, you're gonna really feel it.
Absolutely. Where you're so right, how it's really the letting go of things, or the accumulation of things, which reminds me of that's the property of water, which goes to show how a Scorpio is, where water really accumulates things. And Scorpio also represents, they talk about purity with Scorpio, but that's because purity is such a focus, because once you get to the point of accumulation, you're so familiar on what's toxic. You're so familiar on how things got taken away, aka once you put salt in, say, pure water, and it starts to dissipate, it's not water anymore. It lost its purity because of the accumulation of the minerals. That's why Scorpio is so why it's dealing with letting go of the accumulation to regain the purity. And this is where the ideas of rebirth come from, where the ideas of transformation come from. But it's not also just about the letting go of it, but the accumulation of it as well. Once you understand the process of these accumulating, you will stop accumulating bullshit. You'll stop accumulating toxic feelings and emotions. You'll stop accumulating things that take away from your physiology and start taking things that really actually build you up. And you'll have the ability to let go of the things that are no longer serving you. For sure. And even the moon falls here. So with the Scorpio moon type aspect, let alone it being a new moon with the sun being here, it's very, your emotions are very sensitive and volatile, where it's very in a vulnerable space. But when you are able to handle that space, that's like a Scorpio who's really able to talk about death, and they went through death and they know death. You know, people around them died, they seen it with their eyes. Or a Scorpio is really able to tell you about their addiction or their whatever emotion it is that they might have accumulated and may have be a source of their insecurities and stuff like that. This is where you can really, and this is also where power and control comes into play, because it's those insecurities. If somebody knows your secret, if somebody knows your insecurities, don't they have power and control over you over a certain way, especially if you want to retain it and keep it in the darkness? And this is what creates the sensitivity with the moon being there. But the sun's there too. And the sun don't give a fuck about about none of that. So while your moon's being volatile, the sun is still putting the attention on it. It's still putting the action on it, which is causing the forced change, which is causing the transformation that needs to be had. Your darkness gets exposed. Your vulnerabilities get exposed. So look at that in a situation where may not even be an enemy, but just people in general. With this eclipse, it's going to cause the energy of this dark spot, your vulnerabilities or the things that you really care about to come to the surface. If you don't have a healthy way of letting go of things, or the way you were accumulating energy is toxic, and you weren't focusing on, you know, having pure things or adding things or deeply connecting to things that deeply resonate with you, the things that you had made deep connections off of are toxic things that actually are more parasitic in nature, that take away from you in nature. When this gets exposed, you're in the situation now where you have to take power control over something, or you're in a situation now where something's going to end. You have to change your ways. You have to come up with a new way of feeling about something, because it's out in the open now. It's exposed. Either you're going to continue to feel vulnerable, either you're going to continue to have power and control taken away from you, or you have to make that necessary transformation on the emotions that you hold on, and how you feel in general.
Since Scorpio rules basically our reproductive organ, which is part of our right brain, basically the organs of our lower body. So this is deal with if we could control these areas that allow us to control, aka the masculine side of Mars, which is our brain and nervous system. Aries, the first house. If we don't detox out of the feminine side of Mars, the problem there, everything we're gonna externalize out of our nervous system as Mars climb from there, from Scorpio all the way to Virgo, kidney, Virgo, Libra, and then the Scorpio, and so on and so forth. Basically, climb to the brain, the brain and nervous system. So if we can control that process, what's gonna happen is that we're gonna express a lot of flunked out negativity, and we're gonna express a lot of our vulnerabilities, and we'll be unconscious about it, because that's the part of our nervous system that we're in control, is the unconscious part. So we're gonna have to learn how to bring more awareness to the part of our nervous system that is more subconscious in nature, since Mars is the feminine side of here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why Scorpio also rules like occultism and like the esoteric energy because of what's going on behind the scenes. It's not things that people normally pay attention to, especially when you're taking action and control on a daily basis. Maybe you're not thinking about your vulnerabilities or all of these things necessarily, or you're not thinking about them being exposed or having to deal with them out in the world. It's more of a internal process. It's more of how you look at or feel or react or respond to the world in general. But you get a quick realization once, especially during Scorpio season, just like how the season really changes and you really start to see things get dark outside, where the sun really stops coming around a lot, and you're not getting as much sunlight, so things are going to be darker. So you're not outside, maybe getting distracted by a lot of things. You're going to be at home a lot more, or you're going to be inside a whole lot more. And there's just going to be more opportunity for you to, deal with the toxicity or the impurities of your surroundings, of what's around you, because there's not outlets to go and put those through. There's not as much, things to distract you in the world. So that darkness is really that point that people run away from, but it's also the aspect that is going to be liberating once you get there, you know. Just like how it may be hard to focus on how you feel with your eyes open because there's so much stimulation and stuff like that. And this is why meditation works. When you close your eyes, once you step into the darkness, it's easier to start piecing out your feelings. It's easier to start understanding and bringing awareness to your feelings, which is essential for especially this energy, with this eclipse, the solar eclipse happening in this area. It can so be like if you're planting bad seeds, this is going to be, and just like how it rules the reproductive organs and the excretory organs, this could be like if you're planting bad seeds, this is going to be a bad shit. It's going to be all diarrhea. It's going to be undigested corn. It's going to be all of that gunky shit that maybe you didn't even know. You're like, oh shit, I didn't even eat that, or I didn't know that these things had affected me in this way. While the good seeds, once you take that dump and you let it go, and it's a nice, solid, healthy dump, you feel like a weight has been loaded off of your shoulder. You're a new man. You can go out and conquer the world in ways that you never even thought possible, because you got rid of the toxicity that was holding you back, that was holding back your vitality, that was holding back your energy, because your body was focusing on getting rid of things, on pushing that away. So it's really important for us to understand that letting go aspect of this eclipse, and not to get lost in the accumulation or the vulnerability of the eclipse. Whatever is being exposed is something that you're supposed to let go of. Maybe not necessarily let go of, but transform. And for the most part, it's not even going to be a choice where it's going to be thrown up to you. It's like, give death to this. This is how the universe is going to speak to you. Give death to this aspect. Whatever you got to do to do it, give death to this. And whether how you dealt with that is going to deal with when the full moon time comes around. And I bet the full moon, or 2 weeks from now, is going to be way more closer to the nodes, aka the lunar eclipse is going to be a lot more potent. And not to mention the moon's exalted in Taurus. So listen to me. Really listen to me. This is going to be an intense eclipse where if you don't deal with your emotions, the things that you're holding down deep inside that you're trying to let go of, your physical reality will be affected. Whether it be your funds, whether it be your actual body, manifesting disease, manifesting soreness, or whatever it is, you will feel it physically come this full moon. So don't get lost in that accumulation. Really let things go of what you have accumulated that doesn't serve you anymore, that the universe is gave you that alley-oop to, and really just let it go. Yeah, for sure. And that's that solar eclipse energy. But going into the houses and how this is going to affect everybody on a personal level, if you have this solar eclipse in Scorpio happening in your first house, then what you have to let go or take transformation of or really peep the accumulation of is your personality. If you're a Scorpio ascendant, even in the first place, there's a whole level of vulnerability to how you present yourself into the world, the things that you're personally interested in, the things that all of these things, and so much accumulation and intensity that comes off of the things that you're personally interested in too. I bet a Scorpio ascendant, somebody, this is something that you're into, it's immediately a scrap, or a scrap type energy, or the stinger energy starts to come out. So yeah, how do you think this will affect people with their first house?
Definitely, they're gonna go through a major, deep emotional transformation when it comes to their personality and has to break through their early environment, childhood cues. Because like Scorpio is gonna allow you to like break through like emotional pattern when it comes to your brain and nervous system, specifically with the first house too. So that's almost like a deep wake up call from inside their head.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can see this being played out as you have certain ideas of who you are and that you're trying to present yourself to the world. This eclipse would do energy like where it will put you in that situation and show you that you're not that, or put you in a situation where it's really challenging you um, to be what you're claiming that you are. So here you're really gonna have to make the transformation. Is this really who you are? Is this really something that you deeply can connect to? Then you're gonna have to make the transformation to really step into that state of being, to really step into that personality and make it real. Or if this is not you, or that's what this whole solar eclipse is showing you, this is something that you're gonna have to let go, or else you're going to prevent real honest expression. Well, people are gonna deny your personality, or they won't believe you, or won't be as potent. The things that you're personally interested in, starts. You're gonna have to be more defensive around it. You're gonna have to be more using that stinger to get people to stay away from your personality, and that's not what your personality. You're supposed to share your personality, or that's who you are. That's how you present yourself to the world. But if that's what you're guarding, you're protecting, then there's not a lot of expression that gets done, and then now you're walking into emotional suppression.
Definitely plant new seed when it comes to seeing yourself from a deep emotional way, and that will affect your like your brain and nervous system, the way you see yourself, even your appearance and shit and stuff like that. Because
Absolutely.
in Scorpio things could get really dark, really gloomy, and which it may not be even that way.
Exactly. So, man, like, you have to allow yourself to have different ideas of who you can be, because you can be so fixated on a certain idea of who you are, and it just doesn't line up with reality anymore. So, so you really have to trust spirit, or trust that feeling. Oh, this is not working anymore. Why is this not? I thought that this is who I am. You really have to dig deeper and find a deeper aspect to your personality that is going to fit.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's if you have the eclipse going on in your first house. If you have it going on in your second house, how do you think this will hit? Yeah,
Wow, wow. So you guys gonna go through like a deep emotional transformation, and which gonna allow you guys to plant like new seed when it comes to how you guys fixate your way and feel about money, physical possession, and like the deeper aspect of power and control when it comes to the physical possessions of things. This is you understanding emotional patterns and how does it affect you physically, and how does physical thing make you react on a deep instinctual level, like a survival level type of mechanism, which could be quite scary because we're dealing with Scorpio here, and Taurus do. We're dealing with a sign that's heavily materialistic in the sense that I want to feel the physical realm. So that might be very physically opening to you, basically.
absolutely, absolutely. You may lose something or an asset of yours, or gain something really, and it's showing you certain vulnerabilities or certain perspectives that you have around stability and self-worth. and really exposing certain vulnerabilities that you have around your self-worth and how you value yourself and how you validate yourself. So you're gonna have to take power and control over how how you look at value and how you look at self-worth, and you may have to change and transform into a different value, or a different way of looking about things, so that they can serve you. Because once you lose that stability, and once value starts changing, especially with your second house, and how doesn't really vibe with that Scorpio energy, where it's really going to be, or it's really opposing that Scorpio energy. You'll find that maybe you value, or maybe you're obsessed or really holding, accumulating on things that don't really provide you stability, that don't that are preventing you from really feeling like you're worthy, or that you have self-worth, or you attach too much feelings and emotions to certain things that give you stability, that to certain things that you have value to, and you're forgetting the behind the scenes meaning is the stability, the value, and you think it's this physical thing. It's not that physical thing. Don't let the eclipse season, and then the lunar eclipse that is to come, the full moon, take that away from you, or show you that that stability isn't always going to be there. Know the higher overarching perspective of what it really is, and then you'll be able to take power and control over the situation, and be able to still have stability, still feel self-worth, even though the physical shape and how it looks had changed. So you don't get too defensive over your possessions too. This is easy, your closed hand, no money can get in. So you're vulnerable. You try to protect your assets. You're trying to protect your self-worth, but no more can be added. You have to be a little bit looser. So even though there's the vulnerability of some worth being taken in, you can always put more back in. So you can't have that tight grip on your resources.
And then you might understand like the true concept of having cash flow and regenerative money instead of constantly holding, but like understand how to let go and then give birth to, and let go and give birth to, which might be very quite mind opening for you. It will free you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's if you have this going on in your second house. If you have this in your third house, how do you think this solar eclipse will hit them?
Well, you guys gonna feel a new emotional way about your surrounding, and really go about transforming the way you feel, and try not to be so secretive behind the scene. Try to be more public and let people know, like your siblings, co-workers, neighbor, about how you guys truly feel, because this is an air house, this is a mutable air house, so it might be very hard to bring this dark, fixated type of things that's behind the door to this Gemini type of energy. But the more you do it, the more you shake that fixated water. It's almost like having some mucus in your lungs, but if you continually speak and talk, eventually you'll be able to cough it up or shake it around. So like that's gonna be the whole point of the new moon for you guys, to, even though it might be superficial, to try to be communicative, which you guys may not be used to, but that's what this new moon about. Try to go deep and understand why you guys think it might be fake, and understand the true reason why you have to communicate when it comes to this third house type of energy. This is how people actually learn and things of that nature. You have to fake it till you make it.
If you have this alignment, Scorpio, in your third house, you may not really understand your deeper emotions without communicating about it, or without seeing it, communicating about to those that are around you and your surroundings to a certain degree. And your surroundings can really, because of that lack of communication, maybe it feels vulnerable, or whatever the situation is, your surroundings can really contain a lot of the toxicity that is in your life. Where your surroundings, or mentalities that had developed because of your surrounding environment, is really the leading cause of your depression or your negative thoughts, and you really have to let those things go, aka cleanse, again, a new surrounding, a new environment, a new mentality of how you think and go about your vulnerabilities and your deeper, darker emotions. And you may have to let go of some deep connections that you have around people in your surroundings, or things that you had experienced in your childhood, in your early upbringing, that had really shaped things. I bet with that, there's a whole bunch of childhood experiences that may have led to um, vulnerabilities, that may have led to insecurities, that may have led to certain obsessions around certain things. So you really got to let that shit go, and like in the most literal sense. Let go what's not serving you in your surroundings, and really try and accumulate, transform, and try to start accumulating and deeply connecting on the real stuff that you want to have in your surroundings. The things that maybe you wanted to hide before, once you start incorporating these into your surroundings, you start to realize that can be more comfortable with your vulnerabilities. Once you start talking about them, once they're starting to be around your surroundings, this is how you can motivate yourself. Really fixate on what's really most important by incorporating it in your surroundings and getting rid of the toxic things that would take too much of your attention away, and bring more of the vulnerability side of Scorpio out instead of the passionate, driven side of Scorpio. So yeah, that's the third house. Looking at the fourth house, how do you think the solar eclipse will hit people in the fourth house?
So there's gonna be heavy water. You guys gonna be planting new ways of feeling about your vulnerabilities and behind the scene type of things when it comes to your family, your home, your unconscious. It's opposite of your midheaven, so it's what you keep secret, private to you. So what you don't let people. And when it comes to this new moon in Scorpio, I can see how you can transform the way you guys go about initiating your feelings at home. Because again, guys, this new moon is gonna make you guys really find that vulnerability, that one emotion that you guys need to take action on and put some passion and intent behind it to really move things to happen in your home and your family, and to prevent death, prevent stagnation, because this is the fourth house. This is Cancer. We're supposed to give birth to this is cardinal water. But having Scorpio here, it could bring a very dark, gloomy. But this new moon, planting the right seed, would propel us to transform this, prevent this disease that could possibly happen in our fourth house, home.
Absolutely. And I have Scorpio. I'm a sun Scorpio, and have this in my fourth house. So I can feel that energy, or sense that, where you can really get comfortable with the things that you accumulate. The things that you become passionate about, that you deeply connect to, can really become the source of your comfort. And to change and transform these things feels like you're getting rid of your comfort. But you have to realize that, and using me as an example, when I allow my vulnerability to show, and once I use that as its power, you start to realize that I can become comfortable with vulnerability, and that could be your greatest strength. That it's not you're sacrificing your comfort in order to protect your vulnerabilities. Is that once you do allow the vulnerabilities, and you have the ability to transform, you'll always be comfortable. You'll always retain your comfortability. And yeah, it's just like with your home life. If you have deep insecurities and deep seated emotions that get festered and suppressed in your home life, that's the quickest way to lead to disease. That's the quickest way to lead to emotional dysfunction and not knowing how to express your emotions. So you gotta let that dump go. You gotta let that shit go, even though it feels like you may be getting a little bit more vulnerable. You're doing it so that you can correct your fourth house, your home, and your comfort. You have to get a little vulnerable in order to maintain that comfort. So this new moon's gonna bring up situations where your comfort is really challenged, and it's up to you to be a little bit more open to vulnerability, be a little bit more open to change and letting go and letting something die that is not serving you, and creating new deep connections with the things that do serve you, so you can maintain that comfort, so your home life, what's behind the scenes, can stay peaceful and settled. So yeah, that's fourth house. Fifth house, how do you think this is going to hit them?
So you guys gonna go through a new emotional transformation. Comes to the way you guys look at your entertainment, having fun, children, social life. This might be a wake up call to a way you guys may like to have fun with, entertain, self express yourself with, which might lead you to certain pattern which is unnecessary. So this new moon in Scorpio might be the time for you guys to release it and to transform that way of having fun, because it might lead to unnecessary egotistical attention and unnecessary self-expression. But the new moon in Scorpio is gonna allow you to develop a pure form of self-expression, because this is us bringing the eighth house to the fifth house. So through continuous emotional transformation, as you express it, you're gonna find the right form of expression. That's the good side of it.
Absolutely. And that's the challenge that the sun brings to Scorpio. Once it starts bringing these light to things, it's like, okay, explain or express these things. Express these emotions that you hold deep and down that had accumulated. And it's not always so easy. And then the sun and Leo energy is scared of embarrassment and stuff like that. So it really does play out like that, just like what you're saying. And you can have a lot of toxic ways of having fun. You can have a lot of toxic ways of, creatively expressing yourself. Maybe it gets too domineering whenever you too creatively express yourself. You need too much control. It's like a child off the hinge. No, everything has to be playing by my rules. That can't be more rigid. You can get really fixated on things. But this new moon may really expose certain toxic behaviors that you have. So really be open to transforming your ways of having fun, your ways of giving love, your ways of doing all of these things to be best in line with this solar eclipse, so that you don't have exposed. And I bet this will play out as embarrassment. With the dealing with the fifth house, this will play out as shame. Fifth house, solar plexus. Where you start
Pride.
feeling shameful, pride. When you start feeling shame for how you creatively express yourself, because you weren't open to vulnerability, because you weren't open to getting rid of the negative energy that had accumulated that didn't serve you. So once you take power and control over the way that you feel, and start accumulating the right amount of emotions, you can get obsessed about your creative endeavors now. You can become obsessed and really driven to giving love, to having fun, and on the healthy ways. So instead of being obsessed about your toxic ways. So you really have to take power and control and see what can replace this void that is healthy.
Definitely. Fifth house, don't shun away from the darkness.
And do not. It will consume you, especially coming on the full moon or the lunar eclipse.
And then you're gonna realize how your fifth house was really how everything got dark, yo.
Absolutely. Your light is what caused the darkness. Dead ass. Sixth house, how do you think this is hitting them?
So you guys gonna have a new emotional way to transform your service, work, how you guys service people. This is like figuring out like why you guys really want to serve people in an emotional way and taking power and control of that. And this is gonna really rejuvenate the way you guys go about work and really make you develop a healthy pattern about work. And like the sixth house, it deals with the Mercury, so when it comes to work routines pattern, like I'm a Virgo, my moon is a Virgo, so it's heavily deal with the mental aspect of it. We're continuously thinking about these things. It's non-stop. It's almost like we're continuously calculating it in our head, even though we might know it's gonna be there. We're still calculating it. So this having this new moon and Scorpio there, this is you getting to the deep root of the issue and killing that bacteria in your digestive tract that colonize your body, so your entire body is fucked up. But now you could save yourself, basically.
100%. It's taking that dump, that shit that is getting rid of the bad colony that had built up in your digestive system, and pushing it out.
But also developing a better concept of self perfection through like true purity when you transform yourself. You will better understand what is self perfection. But like after you transform yourself, because like you're not looking at it from all this toxic things you build from your previous life. Like someone aspect of self perfection might be completely different to someone else aspect of self perfection.
Absolutely. And if you have accumulated a lot of emotions that or toxic emotions towards service and towards work and towards efficiency, this what can lead to what you were talking about. That worry war energy, that over perfectionist energy where you're trying to make something perfect that it can never be, or where you're trying to make something efficient by worrying about it but nothing ever gets done, nothing ever gets built. You just only manifest more worrying, more needing to make it perfective. But once you open to that vulnerability, once you take into the account of the energy that you had accumulated, you can let go of the toxic ways of working, the toxic ways of being of service, the toxic ways of you wanting to feel like you're working towards something, like you're initiating practicality. Once you
Like a great example is your digestive system. You think if you continuously eat, your digestive tract will be in good health, but it wouldn't be. But if you fast, it would actually improve it.
Absolutely. And then the fast will let you know what it was that you were eating that was messing up your digestion in the first place. So really, don't allow this energy to force you into that worrying energy. And now you're going to be that stinger, you know, you're going to be so defensive about work, what you're giving service to, about worrying about being efficient a certain way. And you'll actually obtain real efficiency because you know your real vulnerabilities. And then you can start creating deeper connections so that you actually can go whole heart with your emotions when you're going to work. That when you're going to work, you could really be obsessed with work. You could really be obsessed with being of service, but it's in the healthy ways with things that you have deep connections to, so you can really make practicality happen in your life and move forward in the healthy ways instead of all of those toxic ways that we're so prone to having.
And you might even understand how to like bring in occult mystic like concept into work to make work less boring, to make it more entertainment, to understand how to manipulate people behind the scene and bring it like to bring that area of the eighth house to the sixth house.
Also, your daily habits, really cleaning up your toxic daily habits and things that have accumulated based off of certain emotions and certain vulnerabilities and insecurities. This is why you put this in your day-to-day routine. But you want your day-to-day routine to be consisting of things that you generally care about, that invigorate you, that get you up in the morning, not about the things that you want to hide, the things that you want to defend. So you have to let those things go, to really transform and give new space for the things that you want to hold on to. So yeah, that's in the sixth house. If you have this going on in the seventh house, how do you think this is going to hit them?
Time for you guys to transform your relationships. Time for you guys to transform the way you guys connect with people and create contract to balance situations. This is you diving deep when it comes to the emotional patterns that connect you with people, understanding why do you want to be harmonious with people, what's your deepest intent and desire behind your appreciation behind relationship, like why do you want a relationship on a true emotional level. Like this is you understanding why do you want to have sex with someone based on a relationship type of energy type of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can have deeper emotions or toxic things that lead to you wanting to have balance in specific ways, or lead you to wanting to have certain relationships, that lead you to want things to be more fair, things to be more aesthetic. You know, there's a lot of toxic emotions that may have accumulated based off of your experiences that make you want things to be more lighthearted, that makes you want things to be more presentable. But it could really lead you to taking your toxicity out on your relationships. It can really lead to your relationships being the source of these toxicities that you have. So you really don't want that to happen, because now the people in your life can be just like how Libra leads to your eighth, leads to Scorpio. Your relationships really lead to the emotions that you build in, because if you have relationships and niggas can go and tell you, hey, you can have this honest relationship where it's a 50-50 type relationship, niggas will tell you, and then you won't feel as vulnerable because you're able to initiate the conversation with people, with things. So you may have some deep emotional connections to certain relationships that are toxic. So this may be you. Maybe you have some toxic relationships, or you have a tendency to get into toxic relationships, whether it be a person, place, or things. This is a new way for you to understand that capability that you had and let go of the old toxic relationships that you had and create new ones. You can be obsessed around a relationship. You can put a whole bunch of feelings and emotions and let them accumulate around certain relationships, but make sure they're healthy, because then now that's going to be an iron tight relationship. That's going to be a relationship that can't diminish, that is always going to be replenishing you, because you had allowed the healthy emotions to accumulate and let go, was open to the vulnerability, to let go of what wasn't serving you. Vulnerability is how you identify what's not serving you. Because once you start feeling vulnerable and insecure, that ain't it. That ain't it. That's not the right relationship if you feel vulnerable and insecure once you get into those deep points. So you really have to let go of those emotional attachments if you want to have a healthy relationship. So yeah, that's the 7th house. If you had this alignment going on in your 8th house, how do you think this will hit them?
This is gonna be a new way for you guys to feel about death, all occult, mystic, behind the scene. This is gonna be all about the 8th house for you guys. You're gonna start to break through deep emotional pattern, and nobody knows how deep the 8th house for you guys gonna be, because you guys gonna be the representation of that energy. So expect all type of things gonna play out, because the 8th house is unhidden. You don't see it, and things play out through the physical reality. So when it comes to trying to see what happens behind the scene, things could get very foggy, scary, and all type of things.
Absolutely. Where a lot of energy may be accumulated that may be hard to deal with, or you really have to get into that vulnerability. And it's interesting because you would be, maybe have an Aries ascendant, or be around, that type of energy. And Aries are very sporadic, very, not necessarily irrational, but they're very go, 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 go. So this can lead to a situation where a lot of things get accumulated just based off of a byproduct of having that bold action, of having that quick moving mind, of having that dynamic personality. A lot of different vulnerabilities can accumulate, but you're going to deal with them quick. So this may be, you are the type of person that should let negative emotions accumulate. Deal with that shit right away. Because it'll really, like what Harith was saying, really manifest into your physical life. It'll really manifest and accumulate at a higher rate because you have Scorpio here in your 8th house. So, or you may be the type of person who understands this and is a little bit more comfortable with vulnerability and power and control and understanding that dynamic. So really use that so you can really create a deeper connection with taking power, control, and transforming, and use that as your superpower. Use that because they can never put you in a box. They can never hold you to certain insecurities. But if you let that shit accumulate, they'll really hold you to those insecurities, and you'll feel like you won't be able to move, like you're stuck in the darkness, like you're stuck in the swamp, and there's not a lot of emotional room for you to go or move into. So with the 8th house, with this new moon, is really letting you know what side of it you want. This may be an opportunity for you to gain a new superpower, for you to really give your emotions to something that will serve you. And now you'll never feel vulnerable, or you'll never feel insecure. You have such emotional strength because you don't let go. You don't hold on to toxic things. But if you do hold on to toxic things, you let that go, you're preventing yourself from having that superpower of being in that vulnerability. And especially if you're an Aries ascendant, you have to not give a fuck about shit like that. You have to not give a fuck about shit like that to really let the Aries ascendant energy operate in its full capacity. So you have real superpower for being comfortable and you having power control over your emotions and insecurities. So you make use of that this solar eclipse. And if you have this going on in your ninth house, how do you think this will hit?
You guys have a new emotional transformation about taking power control. Comes to the way you guys view God, spirituality, your higher understanding of things, and this is you guys transforming the fixated emotional structure behind the nature. You guys understood God that it is. So this is this is like you guys coming out the darkness to see the light type of energy really, and the new moon is gonna allow you guys to plant the seed to really decide how do you guys want to grow spiritually, how do you guys want to be open minded when it comes to philosophy, understanding things, and understand the deeper aspect of things and bring the light to these the darkness of Scorpio essentially. Yeah.
Absolutely. With Scorpio in your ninth house, I can see you so holding on to certain experiences that you had, certain spiritual understandings that you had. Maybe it has served you in the past, and you have such a deep emotional connection to these things that you never let them go, even when they stop serving you, when they don't serve you now. Now it's like, nah, Jesus Christ and all of this. Jesus saved my life. Don't talk about Jesus like that. And then nobody could ever tell you nothing about Jesus because Jesus saved your life. When maybe you're a crackhead or something like that, and you got into Jesus and he saved and he got you out of that. But you really holding on to those things is preventing you from having new experiences. The deep emotional connections that you had to your past experiences, to your past understandings, your past higher revelations of those realms can really hold you back from having new experiences, new travels, going to new places, new relationships, new levels of spiritual understanding. So you really have to let those things go and give room for new experiences. You can use this power control and being open to vulnerability, to have new experiences, to be passionate and accumulate more energy on seeing what's over the broad horizon, having new experiences instead of holding on to your old ones. Once you understand that your experiences, you have such a deep connection around your experiences, you can use that. It doesn't have to be negative. Let go of what's not serving you, what's holding you back, but still deeply connect with your experiences. Understand that you are deeply entangled, that your emotional state of being really ties into the experience that you go to, where you are, where you go and travel, and the things that you have went through. And with that level of understanding, you can navigate better in your life instead of using your past experiences as the navigation process. And now, because I went through this and this made me feel like this, everything like that in my life is going to be that way. You're preventing yourself from expanding past the horizon and to seeing what's new for you, to step into that godly space of newness. By holding on to the old and what has accumulated back then, you're not allowing anything else to accumulate, any other of your good experiences. So that's if it's going through your ninth house. If you have this going through your 10th house, how do you think this is going to hit?
You guys gonna transform the way you guys feel about your status, business, the way you guys seen by the world, and release some emotional control when it comes to how you guys seen by the public. This is really guys planting new ways of emotionally controlling yourself comes to your public life and your business, and not let these satanic based things that deal with responsibility, restriction, and control dry up your emotions and your feelings, since you might have certain passions and desires certain towards certain things. So you get since you have Scorpio in your 10th house, you guys want to take you guys want to build your business around what you guys really feel vulnerable around, what you guys really value on an emotional level, what you guys really want to be passionate about. So this is a new emotional way to really feel about your business, your status. So you guys break through authorities and people who you guys might work for and really create money and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Being open to experiencing this vulnerability and taking power and control over it really help. Just like what you said, you could accumulate so much deep emotions on certain statuses, being looked at a certain way by the world, certain responsibilities that you have. You have so much deep emotional connections to these things that may be from toxic emotions. Maybe it's validation that's the toxic emotion that you hold on to, that you need so bad, that's making you attach so much emotions to these statuses. But you don't realize that that status, that's like a death sentence where because of those emotions that you're holding on to, you always have to be regarded as this. If you don't have this status, if you don't have this position in the world, you're in darkness. If you can't uphold these responsibilities, you're in darkness. You don't want that type of energy to manifest in the solar eclipse. If you're in that type of state of being, it'll show you, give you that glimpse. It'll bring up those types of aspects. Once you're more open to vulnerability and taking power control of things and letting things go, taking that nice dump to feel like a new person, you can transform that more into you being passionate about being responsible. You can and now you know that whatever you direct your emotions to, that you can obtain any height. That once you allow your control, take power and control over what you let accumulate, you can become any type of business person. This is such a deep, intense type of business energy, or in terms of you can handle any type of responsibility. You can handle any type of position and title. Once you have the awareness and openness to take power and control over your vulnerabilities. Otherwise, you're going to be such an fragile position in the world that you're going to have to use your stinger to defend. You're going to have to use your stinger to defend. You won't allow more accumulation of energies to be more passionate about your responsibilities, more passionate about your position in life. It's going to be defensive mode. I have to defend, or they're going to take me from this place. So you don't want that to let that solar eclipse to let you know. So if the solar eclipse is making you feel, oh, I have to defend, oh, my position in the world is about to change and take place, you know that where you are. And you need to let that go. You need to let that energy go and understand it's whatever position and title. It's not the serve. It's the practicality. It's the feeling it gave you. It's the ability for you to initiate practicality that really was the source of that stable feeling, not the exact position, not that particular responsibility. So be open to letting some of those positions go. Be open to letting some of those responsibilities go, so that you can focus and deeply connect on the real ones, the ones that aren't toxic, the ones that help you grow and remain, not have to defend your position, but add to your position.
Sounds like a deep bone transformation.
Oh yeah, for sure. When too much toxicity is building up, or what is it gonna do? It's gonna seep from your bones, and now you have to have more awareness or more protection on your bones and stuff like that. They'll break so fragilely. But once you have functional ways of detoxing and getting the bad minerals and toxic stuff outside of your body, it won't take from your bone structure. Now you'll fall down and bone all right, or you break your bone and it grows back stronger than ever type of shit. You're not even afraid. It's like, yeah, break this shit. You know, niggas gonna grow back stronger than ever. So you're not even afraid of taking losses on those lines. So that's the height of that power. So yeah, if that's the 10th house, if you have this going on in your 11th house, how do you think this will hit?
You guys, this is time for you guys to newly transform the way you guys connect with you guys, your groups, friends, associate, and like the new moon Scorpio. This deal with like picking out like hidden enemies, but not, it doesn't have to be people, or it could play through people, places, or things. But this is gonna play through the 11th house. Figure out what affects your association, what prevents information to travel there. The way, as things that could help you guys to maneuver better when it comes to association, and how to produce more progression and revolution in your own life, instead of holding on to the old emotional pattern when it comes to groups, friends, and that's gonna, and most likely that 100% prevents you guys from moving further in your life, because you guys don't want to join with groups, friends, people who might be revolting, and deep down you want to revolt too. You ruled by Mars is who's Scorpio, but you don't want to revolt, so you leave him to revolt, communicate, but deep down you're yelling, you're communicating. Now that builds up a disease, a mental emotional problem. Now you're sick. Now you go to the doctor.
Absolutely, absolutely. This I could so see this leading to mental problems and stuff like that. Because it deals with how you interact with people on a general level, and also like that's the energy of Aquarius. A lot of times Aquarius asks you to be selfless, but if the emotions that you let accumulate within this area of life is toxic, then you're going to be selfless for toxic things, or it's going to be toxic selflessness where you may neglect certain things or certain aspects in terms of trying to be more logical, but it's based off of toxicity. It's based off of negative things, and now you have to be defensive with your the groups that you are a part of. Now you have to defend your truth or your reason for rebelling, instead of just rebelling and moving things forward. Now you have to be defensive around your friend groups and your relationships, and reserved in your friendships or relationships in order to protect certain emotions. Or you'll have toxic friend groups, toxic things that lead you to going and progressing into things that aren't true, lead you to abandon your individuality for things that are beyond flunked out, that aren't helping you. But once you're able to let those things go, and be open to more vulnerability in these areas, just like what Harith was saying, you want to rebel or go against certain truths. This will allow you to deeply connect with social groups in a much more intimate way. And this can be a really hard challenge, because the 11th house is more of, and Aquarius energy is more disconnecting, not necessarily very intimate, but spread off. But this can lead you to feeling with people who are like-minded, to people who believe in the same causes as you. You feel like it's blood brothers, because that nigga read the same book as you, that nigga came to the same conclusion as you, that's my brother. You can have that type of energy, or that can really deeply connect, where you can feel deeply connected with things that are abstract, with social groups, people that you've never met before, and you can really push things forward. You can really accumulate knowledge in that way too. Once you're willing to let go of the toxic aspects of maybe what you're fighting for, what you want to rebel, the toxic ways in which you abandon individuality, the toxic ways in how you gather into groups and accumulate information. You want to let go of all of those things and really focus on and accumulate the aspects that are healthy ways of gathering information, that are healthy ways of deeply connecting with things. Then you'll be that's like a passionate mad scientist type energy, where you're so into your projects, you're so into what you're doing, that you push things forwards heavy, that you accumulate a lot of connections and a lot of networks, social networks. It's like this nigga knows about everything, it seems like, because he's so passionate about it. This is the potential that you can have, that the eclipse is exposing.
Dude, like Scorpio energy mixed with Aquarius, you're working with aliens, you're working with death, you're working with banks, you're working with all type of things, yo.
A lie. Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. This could be someone who's fighting for Planned Parenthood or something shit like that. I'm thinking of something like that, or something so dealing with death, but it's so social. It's dealing with a lot of people like that. But shit, whatever side niggas be on, you'll feel more deeply connected. You won't feel like the loss of yourself or loss of individuality.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel like you'll have power over your social groups and how things are progressing, over your future in general. You'll feel more power and control over your future once you let go of all of the toxic ways that you are progressing into your future, the toxic ways that you were looking that had accumulated based off of negative emotions, negative aspect that made you look at social groups in a specific way, that made you look at social causes in a specific way, that leads to the nastier expressions. Because when your nasty emotions go into your social groups and stuff like that, you're just multiplying the energy of it. So you really have to let that go if you want balanced friendships or social life.
Definitely. It definitely would make you think way better too, since we're dealing with your nervous system and we're dealing with detox too. Here with Scorpio.
Clearer thoughts, absolutely.
And like this is, and Scorpio's like deep and clear thought too. It's interesting.
Absolutely. You'll be able to go to the depths with absolute clarity. That's for sure. That's for sure. And that's the 11th house. Looking at the 12th house, how do you think this will hit them?
This is time for you guys to plant new emotional seed and figure out how you guys could transform and take power control comes to your subconscious mind. The way you guys use your dreams, illusion, imagination. People Scorpio in the 12th house again might get scared from certain dreams, illusion, might get vulnerable from expressing their imagination, might get scared from understanding certain concept of karma, regenerate, bringing yourself back to life, and basically people Scorpio 12th house, you get scared of anything related to metaphysics.
Real talk,
And
man.
vulnerable, anything's related to metaphysics, basically. That's it. And you're just trying to escape the concept of try not to become aware of what's happening behind the scene.
Facts. Running away from toxicity.
Fucked up.
This eclipse, if you're not planting the right seeds in this area, man, you can really get flunked out. Where if you're really trying to run away from these things, the 12th house, Pisces, subconscious mind, you're really trying to suppress your deeper emotions. You're really trying to suppress and not really pay attention to the influences that the emotions that you deeply hold on to, your passions, really hold. Man, I don't even know what will manifest, bro. Like it'll be all of the above, bro.
That's
all
it.
of the above. Disease, whole bunch of different things where you'll really manifest these things. It'll lead to you starting to creatively imagine. You start to think that that's all that can be. All of the negative things that you had accumulated.
Scorpio 12th house, they could see everybody. No, Scorpio 12th house, they see the entire world as their enemy because it's almost they try to power control of their own subconscious mind, and that plays out externally as they fighting against everybody who tries to take control of their own subconscious mind, yo. So with this alignment, it's so easy to escape, to lie to yourself, to run away. Like it's so settled. Like I have this alignment too. It's so settled. It's so easy to escape. It's so easy to lie to yourself.
It really is. And to let accumulation build up. This is your subconscious mind that records everything. And then Scorpio, the accumulation of your feelings and emotions. So you're the type of person who's really sensitive. You're the type of person who needs to be very in-depth and aware and in control of the influences in their life, of the emotions that they let accumulate. You have to be the one who lets things go the most. Once you feel an emotion start pulling you into that defensive, oh, I have to run away, you have to really take power. And it may be hard, I know it's hard, but you have to allow that vulnerability to sit with it, to see where it's coming from, to see where this influence is coming from, and really let go of those emotions that you're holding on to surrounding, running away, or surrounding, letting these things, and this can at least lead to such negative planning for the future, negative contemplation for the future, where everything turns out negative, or all you can imagine is the worst case scenario.
You just dream about death, you imagine about death, and that's it. Like literally.
But on the positive side, everything can change once you embrace the power and transformation aspect of Scorpio. Nothing is off limits for transformation for you. That your whole subconscious mind can be taken power and control
Yeah,
over,
yeah.
and you can let go of everything. You can become a whole new person. You can really transform, and this is your superpower, and that's why it comes with such heavy escapism thing, because you can really be anything. So you would really have to hold on to trying to be something, to what you had accumulated, because your real true potential is that you can be anything.
That is true, because if Pisces itself deals with the ability to blend in with any energy, the ability to fixate yourself, and that blending is what could make you stand out, basically.
Absolutely. And you could be the ultimate manifester, the ultimate emotional
Yeah,
wizard.
you could fixate on metaphysical quality that Pisces may be try to play out, but it may not work out properly.
And bring shit down. Like, this is the type of alignment. You have the type of alignment to be the most flunked out person that there is, or you could be the person who looks flunked out, but what they said actually happened. What they said actually manifested. It's like, oh shit. They're like, oh, this is gonna happen in this way, and it's like, motherfucker, how the fuck is that even gonna happen? And then it fucking happens like that. Like, that's how much belief that you can have in yourself, you know? Once you allow once you open to vulnerability, open to taking power and control and letting go of those things, your creativity, your imagination can be the most powerful transformation tool. You'll make people believe they can be better. You'll change other people, make them transform and become something else. Like, damn, I didn't even know I could be like this because of your imagination. So that's the height of that power. So yeah, that is the eclipse through all 12 signs. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support. Give us comments. Tell us what you like about things, what you want to hear about. You know, whatever it is, we're open to the conversation. Check out our website, truspace.biz. Check out our Instagram, truspace_. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Let go of that shit, bro. Don't hold on to that shit. Don't hold on to that shit. You know that feeling. Everybody, you all know what I mean when you feel like a new person once you take that dump. Once you let go of that load, you feel like a new person. So whatever shape and form it may be, that's the type of feeling that you want to manifest with this eclipse. So best of luck to y'all.
Take care.